Welcome to the English Practice Podcast. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Sophie. Today we're starting a new series all about learning English grammar.
Grammar is the backbone of any language, and understanding it will help you speak, write, and understand English much better.
That's right. In this series, we'll cover everything from basic grammar rules to advanced concepts.
We'll break things down step by step so you can feel confident using grammar in everyday conversations.
We'll also talk about common grammar mistakes and how to avoid them so you can sound more natural.
Whether you're a beginner or looking to fine-tune your grammar, this series is for you.
So, get ready to learn how grammar works and how to use it confidently in real-life situations.
Let's dive in and start your journey toward mastering English grammar. And if you're enjoying this podcast, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share it with your friends who want to improve their English skills too.
Part 1. Introduction to Learning English Grammar.
Hi, Sophie! Today, we're starting a new series on one of the most important aspects of language learning, English grammar.
Hi, Ryan. I'm excited about this. Grammar can be tricky, but I know it's essential.
It sure is. Grammar gives structure to our language and helps us communicate clearly.
Sometimes I feel overwhelmed by all the rules. Where should I start?
That's totally normal. The best place to start is by focusing on the basics. Don't worry about every rule at once.
So, should I focus on things like tenses, articles, and prepositions first?
Yes, exactly. Mastering these core elements will help you build a strong foundation.
I'm familiar with tenses, but I still mix them up when speaking.
That's common. But with practice, using the right tense becomes more natural. Focus on learning one tense at a time.
I'll start with the present tense, then gradually move on to others.
Good plan. Also, articles like AI, an, and the can be tricky for many learners.
I've noticed I make mistakes with articles when I'm speaking.
Don't worry. Articles can be confusing because we don't use them the same way in every language. Practice by listening to how native speakers use them.
I'll try to notice when and how they use articles in conversations.
Another common challenge is prepositions like in, on, at. They don't always translate directly to other languages.
I always get confused with prepositions of time, like in the morning versus on Monday.
That's a great example. Try to practice prepositions in context, like in sentences.
I'll practice saying full sentences like, I wake up at 7 a.m. To remember them.
The key is to practice grammar regularly, but don't overwhelm yourself with too much at once.
I'll focus on one topic each week, like prepositions or articles.
That sounds like a solid plan. And remember, grammar isn't about memorizing rules. It's about understanding how the language works.
I like that approach. I'll focus on using grammar in speaking and writing, not just studying rules.
Exactly. When you learn grammar in context, you understand it better.
So, how can I keep track of my progress with grammar?
Keep a grammar journal or a checklist of the rules you've learned. Review it regularly and add new items as you go.
I'll start a notebook and write down examples of sentences for each grammar rule.
Great idea. Practice is key to mastering grammar. The more you use it, the more natural it will feel.
I'll try to use grammar correctly every day in conversations and writing.
And don't forget to review. Even advanced learners need to revise grammar regularly to keep their skills sharp.
I'll set aside time every week to review everything I've learned.
Remember, mistakes are part of the process. Don't be afraid to make them.
I've noticed I learn best from my mistakes, so I'll embrace them.
You're on the right track, Sophie. In the next episode, we'll dive deeper into verb tenses and how to use them correctly.
I'm excited for that. Thanks for these helpful tips, Ryan.
You're welcome. See you next time and keep practicing.
See you soon, Ryan.
Part 2, Mastering Verb, Tenses in English.
Welcome back, Sophie. Today we're diving into one of the most important areas of English grammar, verb tenses.
Hi, Ryan. Tenses are something I struggle with. I often mix them up when speaking.
It's totally normal. Verb tenses are tricky because English has so many variations. But once you understand them, they become easier.
So, where do we start with verb tenses?
Let's begin with the three main verb tenses: the present, past, and future. They each have different forms and uses.
I know the basic idea, but I get confused when there are different variations, like the present perfect.
That's a common challenge. Let's break them down step by step. First, the present tense. It describes things that are happening now or things that are always true.
Like, I eat breakfast at 8 a.m. Or she works every day.
Exactly. And in the present tense, we have two main forms: the simple present and the present continuous.
What's the difference between the two?
The simple present is used for routine actions, facts, or general truths like I study English or the sun rises in the east.
And the present continuous is for things happening right now, like I am talking to you.
You've got it. The present continuous is formed with am or is plus verbing.
So, I am eating lunch would be correct.
Yes, exactly. Now let's move on to the past tense. The simple past describes things that happened at a specific time in the past, like I visited New York last year.
I often get confused with the past tense. Should I use went or have gone?
A good question. Went is the simple past, used for completed actions. Have gone is the present perfect, used to connect past actions to the present.
So if I say I have gone to the store, it means the action happened, but it's still relevant now?
Exactly. The present perfect connects past actions to the present, while the simple past is about actions that are finished and don't relate to now.
That makes more sense. What about the past continuous?
The past continuous describes actions that were happening at a specific time in the past. Like, I was reading when you called.
I get it. It's like something that was ongoing in the past.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about the future. The simple future is used for predictions, plans, or something that will happen, like, I will visit Paris next year.
And we form the future tense with will plus base verb, right?
Yes, that's correct. For things that will happen in the future, we use will or going to for plans. For example, I am going to meet my friends later.
That makes sense. What about future continuous?
The future continuous is used to describe actions that will be happening at a specific time in the future, like, I will be studying at 8 p.m. tomorrow.
So it's like talking about an ongoing action that will happen later.
Exactly. It's formed with will be plus verbing. Now, to review, the present tense is for now, the past tense is for completed actions, and the future tense is for what will happen.
I feel more confident understanding how each tense works now.
You're doing great, Sophie. The key to mastering tenses is practicing regularly and applying them in sentences.
I'll practice forming sentences with each tense to get comfortable using them.
Excellent. And remember, you don't have to be perfect with tenses. The more you use them, the more natural they'll become.
Thanks for breaking this down, Ryan. I feel ready to practice tenses confidently.
You're welcome. Next time, we'll explore some of the more challenging aspects of grammar, like conditionals and modals.
I'm looking forward to it. See you next time.
Part 3, Understanding Conditionals and Modals.
Welcome back, Sophie. Today, we're going to dive into conditionals and modals, two important areas of English grammar.
Hi, Ryan. I've heard of them, but I'm not always sure how or when to use them.
Don't worry. Let's start with conditionals. There are four main types: zero, first, second, and third conditionals.
That sounds complicated. Can we start with a zero conditional?
Of course, the zero conditional is used to talk about facts or things that are always true, like if you heat water to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils.
So it's for situations that are always the same?
Exactly. It's formed with if plus present simple in both parts of the sentence. For example, if it rains, the ground gets wet.
I understand now. What about the first conditional?
The first conditional is used for real possible situations in the future. For example, if it rains tomorrow, I will take an umbrella.
So it's for situations that might happen.
Right. It's formed with if plus present simple in the first part and will plus base verb in the second part.
That makes sense. What about the second conditional?
The second conditional is used for hypothetical or unlikely situations. For example, if I won the lottery, I would travel the world.
So it's for imagining things that probably won't happen?
Exactly. It's formed with if plus past simple and would plus base verb in the second part.
I'll practice using this structure for imagined situations.
Now let's talk about the third conditional. It's used to talk about past situations that didn't happen, usually with regret.
Can you give an example?
Sure. If I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. It's used for things that could have been different in the past.
So it's like wishing things had happened differently.
Exactly. It's formed with if plus past perfect and would have plus past participle.
I'll remember that the third conditional is for past regrets.
Great. Now let's move on to modals. Modals are verbs that express necessity, possibility, permission, or ability.
That sounds useful. What are some examples of modals?
The most common modals are can, could, may, might, should, must, and would.
I use can and should a lot, but I'm not sure when to use must.
Must is used to express strong necessity or obligation, like, you must wear a helmet when riding a bike.
So, must is for rules or something very necessary.
Exactly. You also use must not to express prohibition, like, you must not touch the stove.
Got it. What about should?
Should is used for advice or suggestions, like, you should study every day. It's less strong than must.
I like using should for giving suggestions.
Another common modal is could, which is used for ability in the past or for polite requests. For example, I could swim when I was a child.
So, could is for talking about abilities in the past?
Yes, and for polite requests, you could say, could you pass the salt, please?
I'll try using could when making polite requests.
May and might express possibility. For example, it may rain later, or she might come to the party.
So, may is more certain and might is a little less sure.
Exactly. May is used for things that are more likely, and might is for things that are less certain.
I'll practice with both. What about would?
Would is used for polite offers, hypothetical situations, and requests. For example, I would help you if I had time.
So, it's for things that are conditional or polite.
Exactly. Modals can sometimes have multiple uses, but understanding the context will help you know which to choose.
I'll pay more attention to the context when I use modals.
Remember, it's important to practice these in real-life conversations to feel more comfortable using them.
I'll focus on modals and conditionals in my daily practice.
You're doing great. Next time, we'll explore some common grammar mistakes and how to avoid them.
I'm excited for that. Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome, Sophie. Keep practicing. and these grammar points will become second nature.
See you next time.
Part 4. Common grammar, mistakes, and how to avoid them.
Welcome back, Sophie. Today we're going to discuss some of the most common grammar mistakes learners make and how to avoid them.
Hi, Ryan. I'm sure I've made some of these mistakes myself. I'd love to know how to avoid them.
Absolutely. Let's start with a common mistake, using incorrect word order in sentences.
I think this happens when I try to make sentences too quickly.
Word order is crucial in English. The basic structure is subject plus verb plus object, like I eat apples.
I tend to get confused when there are more than one object or when there's an adverb.
That's a great point. In sentences with adverbs or objects, the order can change slightly, but the subject-verb-object order stays the same.
So, I quickly eat apples is correct, but quickly I eat apples is wrong.
Exactly. Adverbs typically come before the verb, but don't change the basic order of subject, verb, and object.
I'll make sure I follow this order in my sentences.
Another common mistake is mixing up tenses. This happens when people don't keep the tense consistent throughout the sentence.
I do this sometimes, especially when I'm trying to talk about different times in the past.
Right. To avoid that, always check that the tenses match. For example, don't say, I have studied yesterday. It should be, I studied yesterday.
I see, so keep the tense consistent throughout the sentence.
Yes, and don't forget about auxiliary verbs. Many learners forget to use do or does in questions and negatives.
Like, do you like pizza instead of you like pizza?
Exactly. It's do you like pizza, not you like pizza for questions, and I do not like pizza for negatives.
I've made that mistake before. I'll pay more attention to auxiliary verbs.
Another mistake is using the wrong prepositions. Many learners get prepositions confused, like saying on the weekend instead of at the weekend.
I often mix up in, on, and at.
Prepositions are tricky, but the key is to learn the correct combinations and practice them. For example, we say at night, but in the morning.
I'll make a list of these combinations and practice them in sentences.
Don't forget about articles. Many learners omit articles or use them incorrectly. For example, I have a cat instead of I have a cat.
I often forget to use a or an when talking about something general.
Articles are small, but they make a big difference in meaning. Always use a or an when talking about something nonspecific, and the for something specific.
So, I want a sandwich versus I want the sandwich makes sense now.
Exactly. Also, be careful with subject-verb agreement. Make sure the subject and verb match in number.
Like saying, she play tennis instead of she plays tennis.
Yes, the correct form is she plays tennis. For third-person singular subjects, use the S form of the verb.
I'll keep practicing subject-verb agreement in sentences.
A big mistake is confusing much and many. Much is for uncountable nouns, and many is for countable nouns.
So, many books and much water are correct?
Exactly. Many is for countable things like books, and much is for uncountable things like water.
I'll practice using many and much correctly.
One last mistake is not using the correct form of adjectives or adverbs. For example, saying, she sings beautiful instead of she sings beautifully.
So beautiful is the adjective and beautifully is the adverb.
Yes, remember that adjectives describe nouns and adverbs describe verbs. So she is beautiful, but she sings beautifully.
That makes sense now.
The key to avoiding these mistakes is practice. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel.
I'll make sure to review these points regularly.
Great! Keep practicing these areas and pay attention to the details in your sentences.
Thanks for these tips, Ryan. I feel more confident avoiding these mistakes.
You're welcome, Sophie. Keep up the great work and don't be afraid to make mistakes along the way.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm ready to keep improving.
Part 5. Advanced Grammar Topics. Conditionals, modals, and more.
Welcome back, Sophie. Today we're going to dive into some more advanced grammar topics. Conditionals, modals, and other structures that are important for fluent English.
Hi, Ryan. I'm excited to learn about these advanced topics, even though they can be tricky.
They can be tricky, but once you understand them, they'll help you express yourself much more clearly. Let's start with conditionals.
I've heard about the zero, first, second, and third conditionals. I get confused with when to use each one.
Let's break them down. The zero conditional is used for general truths or facts. It's formed with if plus present simple in both parts. For example, if you heat water, it boils.
So it's for things that always happen, like scientific facts.
Exactly. Now, the first conditional is used for real, possible future situations. It's formed with if plus present simple and will plus base verb. For example, if it rains, I will bring an umbrella.
Ah, so it's used for things that might happen in the future?
That's right. It's for realistic situations that are possible. The second conditional is used for hypothetical or unlikely situations. It's formed with if plus past simple and would plus base verb. For example, if I won the lottery, I would travel the world.
So it's for imagining things that probably won't happen?
Exactly. And then we have the third conditional, which is used for past situation that didn't happen. It's formed with if plus past perfect and would have plus past participle. For example, if I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam.
I get it now. It's used to express regrets or missed opportunities.
You're doing great, Sophie. Now let's move on to modals. Modals like can, could, will, would, and must help us express ability, possibility, necessity, and permission.
I use can and will a lot, but I'm not sure when to use must and could.
Must expresses strong necessity or obligation. For example, you must wear a helmet when riding a bike. It's a rule or requirement.
So it's stronger than should?
Exactly. Should is used for advice or recommendations, like you should eat healthier. It's less strong than must.
That makes sense. What about could?
Could is used for past ability, polite requests, or suggestions. For example, I could swim when I was younger, or could you please pass the salt?
Oh, I use could for polite requests.
Yes. Modals can also be used for expressing possibility. For example, it might rain tomorrow, or it may be true.
So might and may are for expressing uncertainty?
Exactly. Might and may are used for things that could happen but aren't certain. Might is often used when the possibility is lower.
I'll use might for things that are less likely to happen.
Another important modal is would, which is used for polite offers, hypothetical situations, or requests. For example, I would like a cup of tea, or if I were rich, I would travel the world.
So would is used for polite requests or imagining things.
Yes, exactly. Modals are versatile, and practicing them in different contexts will help you use them naturally.
I'll practice modals in my daily conversations to get more comfortable with them.
Great! Now let's quickly touch on the passive voice. The passive is used when we want to focus on the action, not the subject. For example, the book was read by Sophie.
Ah, so the passive voice shifts the focus from the person doing the action to the action itself?
Exactly. It's formed with to be plus past participle. The passive is common in formal writing and when the doer of the action is unknown or unimportant.
I see. So The cake was eaten is passive, while I ate the cake is active.
That's a perfect example. Keep practicing these advanced grammar structures and they'll become more natural over time.
Thanks, Ryan. I feel more confident understanding these grammar points now.
You're doing amazing, Sophie. Keep practicing with real life examples, and soon these structures will feel second nature.
I will. Thank you for breaking everything down so clearly, Ryan.
You're welcome. In the next episode, we'll explore more advanced grammar topics like relative clauses and indirect speech.
I'm excited for that. See you next time.
Part 6. Understanding relative clauses and indirect speech.
Welcome back, Sophie! Today, we're diving into two important advanced grammar topics, relative clauses and indirect speech.
Hi, Ryan. I've heard of these, but I'm not sure how to use them correctly.
Let's start with relative clauses. These are used to give more information about a noun in a sentence.
So, like adding extra details about something or someone?
Exactly. For example, the woman who lives next door is very friendly. Here, who lives next door is a relative clause that gives more information about the woman.
I see. It's like describing something more specifically.
Yes, you can also use that, which, who, and whom to introduce a relative clause.
Can you explain the difference between who and whom?
Sure. Who is used for the subject of the clause, and whom is used for the object. For example, the man who called you is my friend, and the man whom I called is my friend.
So, who is for the subject, and whom is for the object.
Exactly. But in spoken English, whom is often replaced by who. It's more formal.
That makes sense. What about which and that?
Which and that are used for things, animals, or sometimes groups of people. Which is often used in non-restrictive clauses, which give extra information.
So, the book which is on the table is mine.
Perfect. That's a non-restrictive clause, and you can use commas to separate it. That is used for restrictive clauses, which give essential information. For example, the book that is on the table is mine.
So, the second sentence gives essential information, while the first one is just extra info.
Exactly. Now let's move on to indirect speech. This is when we report someone else's speech or thoughts without quoting them directly.
So, instead of saying, she said, I am tired, we say, she said that she was tired.
Exactly. In indirect speech, we change the tense and sometimes the pronouns. For example, she said that she was tired is the indirect form of she said, I am tired.
I see. So, the verb tense changes and I becomes she.
Yes. In indirect speech, the verb tense usually shifts back. Present becomes past, and past becomes past perfect. For example, he says, I will go, becomes he said that he would go.
That's interesting. What about when we report questions?
For questions, we use if or whether and change the word order. For example, she asked, are you coming? But it becomes, she asked if I was coming.
So, we change the word order in the reported question.
Exactly. And don't forget about reporting commands. With commands, we use the verb in the base form. For example, he said, close the door becomes, he told me to close the door.
And that's clear. So, we use to plus base verb for commands.
Yes. And for negative commands, we use not after to. For example, she said, don't touch that becomes, she told me not to touch that.
I understand now. It's all about changing the structure when reporting speech.
Great. These structures help us report speech naturally and avoid quoting people directly all the time.
I'll practice using indirect speech in my daily conversation.
You're doing great, Sophie. Next time, we'll explore some tricky grammar points like gerunds and infinitives.
I'm excited for that. Thanks again, Ryan.
You're welcome. Keep practicing, and these advanced grammar points will soon become second nature.
I will. See you next time.
Part 7. Gerunds, infinitives, and final grammar tips.
Welcome back, Sophie. Today we're going to talk about gerunds, infinitives, and review some final grammar tips.
Hi, Ryan. I've heard of gerunds and infinitives, but I'm not always sure when to use them.
Gerunds and infinitives can be tricky, but once you understand the basic rules, they'll become easier. Let's start with gerunds.
What exactly is a gerund?
A gerund is the ing form of a verb used as a noun. For example, swimming is fun or I enjoy reading.
So, swimming and reading are gerunds in these sentences?
Exactly. Gerunds are used to talk about activities, things you like or dislike doing.
I often use gerunds after verbs like enjoy and love, right?
Yes, you're right. Verbs like enjoy, like, love, and hate are often followed by gerunds. For example, I love traveling.
That makes sense. Can we also use gerunds after prepositions?
Yes, gerunds always follow prepositions. For example, I'm interested in learning languages, or she's good at dancing.
So, in and at are prepositions followed by gerunds?
Exactly. Now let's talk about infinitives. An infinitive is the base form of a verb, preceded by to. For example, I want to eat, or she plans to visit her family.
So, to eat and to visit are infinitives?
Yes, and infinitives are often used after verbs like want, need, decide, and hope. For example, I want to learn more, or he hopes to travel soon.
I get it. Infinitives are used when we talk about desires or plans.
Exactly, but we also use infinitives after adjectives like it's important to study or she's excited to start her new job.
That makes sense. So, we can use infinitives with both verbs and adjectives.
Now let's look at the difference between when to use a gerund and when to use an infinitive. For example, after stop, we use a gerund for an activity. I stopped smoking.
And for an action, we use the infinitive. I stopped to smoke, which means I paused what I was doing in order to smoke.
Exactly. The meaning changes depending on whether you use a gerund or an infinitive. Let's try another example. After start, we use either a gerund or infinitive, but the meaning stays the same.
So, I started reading and I started to read. Both mean I began the action of reading?
Yes, exactly. Some verbs can be followed by both a gerund or an infinitive, with little to no change in meaning. However, other verbs have specific rules.
I see. Which verbs should we be careful with?
Some verbs like forget and remember change their meaning depending on whether they're followed by a gerund or infinitive. For example, I forgot to call means I didn't call, and I forgot calling means I don't remember calling.
Oh, that's tricky. So, the meaning changes with these verbs?
Yes, exactly. There are many other verbs that follow similar rules, so it's important to learn them. Practice and context will help you get used to it.
I'll make a list of these verbs to practice and memorize them.
Another common mistake is using the wrong form of the verb after certain expressions. For example, it's no use. Plasadai gerund, like, it's no use crying over spilled milk.
So, we always use gerunds with expressions like it's no use or it's worth.
Yes, its worth is followed by a gerund, like, it's worth learning another language.
I'll keep these expressions in mind when speaking.
Finally, one of the best ways to improve grammar is by reading and listening to English as much as possible.
I'll try to expose myself to more English in real world contexts, like books, movies, and podcasts.
Exactly. The more you see and hear grammar in use, the more naturally it will come to you.
I'll focus on reading and listening more regularly to see grammar in action.
Great. Keep practicing with real examples and you'll keep improving. Remember, learning grammar is about understanding the rules but also using them in context.
Thanks, Ryan. I feel much more confident with gerunds, infinitives, and all the grammar tips you've shared.
That's it for today's episode on learning English grammar. We hope you found it helpful.
We've covered some essential grammar points, and we'll continue exploring more in the upcoming episodes.
Remember, practice makes perfect. So try to apply what you've learned today in your speaking and writing.
And don't forget, grammar is the foundation, but using it in real conversations is where the magic happens.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the English Practice Podcast for more grammar tips and language learning strategies.
Share this podcast with friends or anyone who's looking to improve their English skills. Let's learn together.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time for more tips on mastering English grammar.
Goodbye for now and keep practicing.